As movie starts, we are introduced to an evil king. In his desire for power, he has handed himself over a girl. She wasn't just any ordinary girl, she was a black dragon. She was powerful and dangerous. Her name was Daji. When the king was young, he wanted dark magical abilities, so he went to Daji to gain a plethora of abilities in return. Because Daji is a black dragon, so no warrior or weapon can defeat her. Daji was so cruel that she killed many innocent lives. They attacked many kingdoms and they robbed the people. Besides this, they have made many people their prisoners. Daji's terrible face is shown when an officer arrives at their palace. She has a lot of long tails, and she eats that officer after she kills him. Meanwhile, some warriors are shown coming from the city. Those warriors were coming to fight with Daji and the king. Some people of the invisible tribe were in Daji's prison. They make a plan to defeat Daji and the king. Their leader, who was their master, was coming to help them. Then those warriors cross the huge tunnel and reach the king's palace. A festival was going inside the palace. The priest, the leader of the invisible tribe, was being assassinated. On the other hand, the great warrior Jacky, their master, and the other warriors moved to release them. They reached the place where the invisible kids and people were imprisoned. But they couldn't break those rods, because the rods were subjected to black magic. It is discovered here that the great warrior Jacky is also capable of performing magic. He breaks those rods while using his magic. Due to his magic, the commander of the king knows about them. He moves to go near them. The inside of the palace scene is then shown, the priest who was imprisoned. He can see the future. Daji asks the king to see his future. The king sees his future in the priest's eyes. King discovers that his death is near. There is someone who will defeat him. The king becomes furious and sees his future. That's why he orders his soldiers to take out the priest's eyes. Jacky and his warriors escape the invisible tribe's people. When they were taken to a safe place, the king's army attacked them. But then the invisible tribe's people give Jacky's people away. There were plans in the works to assassinate the priest. Then their master arrives. The invisible people are escaping. Meanwhile, the general also arrives, to attack them. Jacky and his brothers stop there and send the others. Jacky broke the wall of the beach with his magic. In doing so, he imprisons the general and his men on the opposing side. In this way, he saves the invisible people. Daji was in her terrible get-up in the palace. She curses the master. She decreases his powers. Due to it, the master becomes weak. The priest gives his one eye to the master, seeing this, to make him fine, but Daji sees him while doing this. She holds that eye with one of her tails. Meanwhile, Jacky and his warriors also come there. They start fighting with the king's army. Here, Jacky uses his magic on Daji. She was more powerful and dangerous, so Jacky wasn't dominant on her. Daji and the king were dominant in them. A large bird appears there, and took them somewhere while evading them. The priest throws his other eye towards him. Finally, the master gets that eye and moves towards his kingdom. After this, the priest was dying. Finally he dies. Daji has the one eye of the priest, that's why she becomes more powerful. She gets ready for the fight with the master and his companions. On the other side, the master also gets ready for a fight. Now because Daji has cursed the master, that's why whenever he will use his powers, his age will be decreased. He will be older than his age. Not only this, he will also forget his powers. That's why he has only one purpose, to get the sword of life. They can kill the black dragon Daji with it. Then Jacky is shown in those warriors. He can fly from his childhood. He has many powers and also has wings. Due to the incident in the past, he was scared. When he tries to fly, he succeeds. After it, the master gives a map to Jacky. With it, they can search for the sword of life. They must obtain the sword before confronting the three sons. The master tells Jacky not an ordinary human can touch this sword. Only that warrior can touch it whom it will choose, whoever the warrior will be. He will become the golden dragon. That golden dragon is the right person for that sword. Only he can kill the black dragon, which means Daji. Jacky was a great warrior, so he decided to search for the sword. The master agrees on it. He says, okay, you can leave. You have to bring many powers with you. Spring of Life is the name of their garden's water, and the master takes an egg from it. A cute boy named Naza appears from the egg. This boy will be Jacky's companion on his journey. Besides this, the master gives 3 mysterious gifts to Jacky for his journey. These gifts will help him in his travels. Then Jacky moves in search of that sword. Jacky walks for a long time, but he doesn't get a clue about the sword. One gift from the master's given gifts comes out. It was actually a small plant of an eye. It leads Jacky where he has to go. As they move forward in the desert, a massive centipede monster chases them. It attacks Jacky, Naza, and that plant. The centipede was about to kill the plant and Naza. Meanwhile, Jacky kills the centipede monster. During this, Naza steals the other gift of Jacky. He opens it and a cute dragon prince comes out of it. As he opens it, it does magic on Naza. Naza comes in his real getup because of it. It means he grew older. When he awakes he goes in search of his powerful fire wheels. Jacky interrupts him by saying that we must first look for the sword of life. On the way, you will find your weapon, the fire wheels. The general constructs a girl in the palace, he makes her alive. Then she sends her to search for the sword of life. This constructed girl is named Jacky and Naza arrive at an old and huge hall. Here they meet a man who was a sand magician. He can control the sand with his magic, while using his magic he takes out a golden weapon from the sand. Naza attacks the magician because he wants the golden weapon. They get into a fight. Jacky also comes into this fight to escape Naza. While fighting they come into a different world. During the fight, the sand magician comes in his real getup. He was actually a warrior. He was imprisoned there as a result of Daji's curse. Jacky has released him from there. That's why Jacky gives a gift to that warrior from the warrior's gifts. The gift was a dog. The warrior and the dog went in search of their weapon. After it, Jacky and Naza continue their journey. When the night appears they move into a village. Reaching the village, Naza and Jacky get separated. As a result, they will go in search of the sword before the three suns collide. They meet the girl D in the village. She was the girl whom the general constructed to search for the sword. Jacky sees and likes her. Now they move in search of a witch. She has a magical boat that can take anyone to their destination. As they were stealing her boat the witch awakes. She attacks them. But Jacky, Naza, and girl D run from there. They successfully steal her boat. They proceed from there, and the boat will take them to their destination. The girl D starts talking about the sword. Hearing it, Naza gets furious as well as shocked. He goes to kill her. But the dragon prince sprinkles the magical gas on Naza. Due to it, Naza gets faint. He again becomes a kid. Jacky and girl D were enjoying their journey. When the general discovers this, he takes D's memory. Due to it, D forgets about the sword. Because the general only wants the location of the sword. He has got it. Jacky sees that the boat is leaving from the middle of the sea. He asks the plant about the situation. The plant says only the baby dragon prince can control the boat. Because he wants to move to his house. The dragon prince starts singing to call his father. The dragon king can also hear his son's voice. So he sends a giant octopus to bring his son. The octopus takes them to the sea palace. Jacky also moves behind them seeing it. Coming to the sea palace, they discover that the dragon king of the sea has kept Naza's fire wheels. That's why Naza has kept the dragon prince with him. Naza asks for the fire wheels from the king. But the king refuses to give him the fire wheels. He attacks Naza through his guards. Naza fights them all, and after the battle, the dragon king gives him the fire wheels. Due to it, he comes in his real getup. He has many powers. In return, Naza also hands over the baby dragon prince to the dragon king. After it, Naza moves on his way. Jacky and D enter a city with the help of the boat. It was a destroyed city. It seems like time has stopped there. He finds a place where the sign of the sword was. Jacky breaks that place with his full powers. As a result, a massive amount of light was produced. A structure opens. The sword of life comes out from it. Seeing it, they become happy but the general and his army arrive there. Here, D tells everything to Jacky. Jacky furiously attacks the general. After the fight they hold Jacky, they make him a prisoner. The general's people turn into ashes as they touch the sword. D likes Jacky as well, so she pulls out the sword in exchange for her life. She was a dummy and the sword doesn't affect her. There were huge rings around the sword. Due to it, there was a huge blast after taking out the sword. Many people of the general were killed in it. But the powers of the sword of life also vanish. Jacky finds his wings back. Now he can fly, that's why he escapes D. As the sun appears D changes into a dummy. Jacky comes in anger seeing it. That is why he abandons D and travels to his kingdom while wielding the sword. Then he notices the three suns are about to merge. That's why he immediately runs from there. On the way, he meets Naza and the sand magician. The warrior has got his weapon. They move for the kingdom. It is shown in the kingdom, Daji and the king's people have attacked the warriors and the city. Here, as the master uses his powers his age is decreasing. He was also forgetting to use the magic. The king's army reached to destroy the city. Till then Jacky, Naza, and the warrior also arrive there. They start fighting with the king's army. In this fight, they also kill the general. Daji again revives him. She changes him into a giant monster. Now the great warrior competes with the giant monster. The giant monster was so powerful. That's why he was dominant on them. Then the monster also kills their commander. But the commander says to Jacky's brother before dying, to plunge into the garden with the sword into the water, so the powers of the sword will return. Those masters have become small kids. They didn't remember anything. Getting a chance from it, Daji imprisons them. On the other side, they were fighting with the giant monster. Meanwhile, Jacky's brother throws the sword into the spring of life. He appears in the form of the golden dragon. It means the sword has chosen him. He has many powers and kills the giant monster with his powers. He has so many powers that he lifts up his whole city. He moves to attack the king and Daji. The masters were also with the king and Daji. They have become small kids. With it, the king also becomes the black dragon. He was expecting the warriors to attack. This is the end of the film. Thanks for watching.